What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLib Games coming at you with another cool video. Today I bring you a new little mini project that is going to be a Mack Xtreme spinning coaster blueprint. So I'm going to be building this Extreme spinning coaster. It's going to be available on the Steam Workshop when it is all said and done. So this is going to be a quick little project. It's only going to be a few episodes, I'd imagine. So today we're going to be focusing on just the layout of the ride and just everything like that. And then we're going to do scenery. Next episode will probably be either custom supports and scenery, maybe the station and stuff, stuff along those lines. So yeah, so that's kind of how this little series is going to go ahead. So I'll be doing some nice little scenery. I'm going to be doing some custom supporting. There probably won't be an incredibly amount of custom supporting. I'll leave supports that I feel are actually pretty solid. Like some of the in-game supports work pretty well since I am using the Copperhead Strike model. Now some of you might be wondering that don't know, how am I getting the spinning trains on a track with launches? And I'm glad you asked. So there is a mod out there that I am using where you can actually interchange any of the coaster trains onto any of the tracks. So I am using that, and then you can also use, or it also allows you to put lifts and launches on every single track as well. So I am using the Copperhead Strike track for this. That way I can get the optional spine, the thicker spine, for those thick, so for those high stress points on the parts of the track. So I start out with this little tiny roll out of the station, kind of like similar to Copperhead Strike. So you're going to see a lot of similarities between this and probably Time Traveler, and maybe some hints of Copperhead Strike, but probably mainly Time Traveler, since that's the only main actual extreme spinning coaster out there at the moment until next season, where we're getting another coaster called Time Traveler that's also going to be a Mack Xtreme spinning coaster, which looks cool as well. So I started this off. This is going to have 2 launches total. So with this first launch out of the station, we're going to go up and into a wave turn, kind of like Time Traveler's big wave turn after its first launch. So I'm going to be using that element here to get coming off of the very first launch. So it took me a little bit of messing with, but this was actually not too hard of a project. I actually used the angle snap a lot. I use the angle snap a lot to my advantage. I actually don't use freeform all that much. On certain spots I do, but like for making certain custom elements, I do use the angle snap quite often, and it's actually not a bad idea because you can be very precise and very symmetrical. It helps keep some of the stuff very symmetrical, so very nice to use if you know, if you're intimidated by doing some more advanced stuff. You know, it's not all that bad. All you got to do is use the angle snap and just kind of shape out what you want, and the smooth tool will help out with that. So for the smoothing of this ride, I am using my 3-piece smoothing method. If you haven't seen that video, I show that off on how I do or smooth my coasters out. I don't use 4 meter. I actually use my own method that I actually kind of came up with, to where you can use any size pieces that you want, and I think it's quite nice because you can build a coaster. I actually built this within like 45 minutes or so, and that's me actually really trying and really doing that. So like it only took me like 45 minutes, and some of these sections I only smoothed once, and usually typically on my smoothing method I go through twice, but sometimes you only have to go through once, which is just crazy to me. So just make sure your banking offset's cranked all the way up, and it works quite well. So this is actually still all Time Traveler inspired so far. So after the wave wall, wave turn, we do go straight into a vertical loop, which does happen on Time Traveler, except mine doesn't go through the launch. Mine's going to stay standard right there because I want to be able to have this placed on a flat land. And after the loop is still going to be inspired by Time Traveler. Like this first part of the ride is all Time Traveler, which is insane. I do this twist and turn, which goes into a 0G roll. So far, literally everything is based off of Time Traveler. How many times have I said Time Traveler in the last 30 seconds? I don't know, quite a few. But this is where I start to branch off from Time Traveler just a little bit. But anyways, every single element used is from inspired from that. So going into here, I have like a mini wave turn turning us around right here. So I wanted this ride to have quite a few inversions in it and still stay realistic. So the max speed in this coaster actually ended up being about 53 miles per hour, which I think is about a good, a really good length, or really good, gosh, a really good speed. I can't find my words today, I'm sorry. So this is where I wanted to kind of figure out how I wanted to get into the second launch. I had to do some sort of turnaround because I wanted the launches to kind of be right next to each other in a way. So this is going to be a slightly compact layout too. Everything's going to be going through each other quite often, and keeping it on a smaller footprint as much as I can. So again, I am going to be doing quite a bit of custom supporting for some spots. For some spots I don't know how to compute for those custom supports, so this will be nice. So I'm going to be putting this on the Steam Workshop for those that do want to download it, and hopefully it should work. Even though I'm using the mod and you don't have the mod, it still should work with the coaster trains. I might have someone to test that out for me, or I might test it out myself, we'll see. But overall, this layout I'm very happy with of how it turned out. I still might make some minor modifications going forward, but I want to do this little airtime launch going into the second launch. So it's very important, I think, to when you do coasters like this, to really think out the block sections as well, so they're timed out properly, because I wanted to be able to run 3 trains very well on this ride. So I don't ever put a block section on the first launch, just because I don't want the other train dispatching too soon. I always put it on the second launch. So so you'll see here in a minute, I'll go back to that little airtime launch hill and actually make that a block section, and it blends in pretty well. All it adds is a couple of brakes, because it still has the launch fins. They look like launch fins. It's because it's magnetic brakes, so it's actually quite nice, and it actually blends in quite well. So the reason why I really wanted to use the Copperhead Strike train, or not trains, Copperhead Strike track, is because it just has a lot more options when it comes to like the catwalks, and the I feel like it has the best auto-generated supports. They're not perfect, but they're a lot of sections where I'm probably not going to touch. Like the vertical loop, I think those supports are actually very accurate to the mock loops, and those are very hard to do custom support-wise, and I feel like the endgame one actually does it very well. That's the only element I used that was the prefabricated element. I usually only use vertical loops for those, so everything else is custom. So never be ashamed to use custom elements if you need to. So sometimes I very rarely need to make custom loops. There's a couple instances where I have done that, but most of the time I don't. I just kind of keep it simple. So yeah, I did go back and just put in the thicker spine in some spots. That worked really well, and I was just trying to think about what elements I would put in here, and I ended up going with a dive loop after the second launch, because there is a dive loop on Time Traveler, and again, I'm very inspired by Time Traveler on this recreation on this creation for this one. So I ended up actually turning a different way on the dive loop for this. I actually go back and delete all this and do a different go the opposite direction, and you'll notice that there are going to be a couple sections of some good hang time and some of the elements, and that is done on purpose because that is how some of these rides are. Like on the wave turn, the vertical loop, you're going to see that it's going to have some good hang time, and you'll notice that mock rides do like to do those little hang time moments on some of those sections, which is not necessarily unrealistic. It's just how it works. It looks quite nice too, like the flow of it, and the hang time is actually really fun on Time Traveler when you get those moments, because you're just kind of dangling and you're sideways looking straight at the ground or looking straight at the sky sometimes on those wave turns, and it's awesome. And then when you're rotating upside down in a loop, it's pretty awesome feeling, to be honest. Now I did was thinking about putting in some section having a vertical drop somewhere, because I think even the new Extreme spinning coaster that is coming in next season, I cannot pronounce or remember the place that it's going to, but it's also going to be called Time Traveler. I think it has a vertical drop as well, even though it's not out of the station. It's after one of the launches, I think. And actually, this was slightly inspired by that as well, because it does have a roll right out. I think it's a JoJo roll right out of the station as well. So this is where I was kind of trying to figure out how to get back to the brake run after saying, all right, what kind of elements can I put in here? I wanted to do at least one more inversion. I think we ended up with about up to 5 inversions. This is one section I might change a little bit just because of how long drawn out this drop is. I might change it up just a little bit to fix it out, because I just wanted to get it lined up underneath that launch section quite nicely before we go up into this 0G roll, because I ended up doing a 0G roll right here, kind of like a standard 0G roll. We did like a roll on the after the first launch, but I wanted to do like a kind of a slightly different one right here. So so it was a different enough element to kind of give its own thing. So I haven't done like a proper like time-lapse series in quite a long time, so I thought this was nice to do, and I just had some time where I just wanted to kind of work on something new, and this is kind of filling that void. So obviously it's just going to be a mini series, and I'm not going to have too many episodes of this, but so just keep that in mind, that this is just like a very small series of videos that I'm hoping to only have 5 or less videos on, 5 or less parts. So yeah, I just haven't, I wanted to make a nice proper extreme spinning coaster blueprint for you guys, so that way if you guys, for those casual players that just want to plop down a nice spinning coaster, this will be a nice one for you. So it's got a nice long layout. I think the duration ended up being like 160 something seconds, so that's pretty awesome. Just under 3 minutes of ride time, which is actually pretty awesome. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a 2+ minute ride, which is definitely nice for this kind of ride. So ended up being, was able to go ahead and do 3 train operation on this, so I had to make sure I did 2 block sections on the back. That way, when the train, or when the ride starts, you have the 1 in the station and then 2 on the brake run. That's kind of how Time Traveler works. That you can stack all 3 of the trains right at the end of the ride, which is what we wanted to kind of do here. So so just finishing it out here, I'm just doing some adjustments and also just smoothing out the rest of the ride. Again, I only went through once, and after checking the POV, it was actually fairly smooth, and I was in seat view as well, so we could get that spinning effect. So I'm not going to reveal the POV just yet. I'm going to reveal it about the time. I'll reveal it when as soon as we're done with the project, and I'll do like a awesome cinematic video and everything like that, so it'll be kind of cool. And again, I'll make it available on the workshop for you guys, so you guys can check out this epic creation of mine, and maybe even use it in your own parks, you know. So again, I was pretty proud of this this layout. I thought it turned out really awesome. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments section of what you guys are thinking about this layout. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is there parts of it that you're kind of like, I don't know? And let me know why, because I love to hear you guys' feedback, and I'd like to know exactly what I can improve on in the future. So yeah, this is kind of a last second. I was trying to figure out, just twiddling my thumbs, like what kind of video can I do? And I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like doing an extreme spinning coaster. I just wish we had the proper trains for these, but I mean, these are gonna do for now. But like, I just wish we had the actual Time Traveler-esque or Mack Rides-esque extreme spinning coaster trains. That's just kind of what I wish we had available to us, but we don't. So we're gonna have to manage with what we have right now. So I just went back and just adjusted a couple speeds. The second launch was a little bit too fast from where I wanted it. because I made the second launch just as fast as the first launch, but I actually went down a couple miles an hour because there's not as much elements on the second half of the ride than there is the first half. The first half is definitely bigger than the second half, because the second half you got the dive loop, those twist and turns, a 0G roll, and then the turn into the brake run. So that's about it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. I'm going to catch you guys in the next episode, so make sure you have a great day and even cooler tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.